since statistically more criminals have come through the Boebert household, the Boebert crime family, than across the border, do you think that the Boebert and Lauren Boebert herself should be investigated and impeached? If you think yes, press the like button below. Because her son is, well, she's spending an awful lot of time going on about Hunter Biden where there is no evidence, whereas in terms of her son, jury, you be the jury, please, and judge.
Day. You know, crime in Venezuela sure is going down, and that's because they are all coming through our wide open borders. Criminal, illegal aliens coming through and voting.
The department says police arrested Tyler Boebert, pictured here, after a recent string of alleged vehicle trespass and property thefts in Rifle, which is just west of Glenwood Springs. Now, police say he is facing 22 charges, including criminal possession of a financial device, criminal possession of ID documents, and more.
It's currently almost 2 a.m. here on the House floor. Most Americans are asleep. In China, they're finishing up with lunch, and after the videos we've seen this week, it's possible that Hunter Biden's on to his second fix for the night. But sadly, we're here on the floor.
Life has a way of shaping us. My mom joined the Air Force when I was 8. I joined the United States Marine Corps at the age of 17. I served my first enlistment. I returned home to get my education. On September 12, 2001, I raised my right hand and bought a ticket straight to the front lines. After nearly 18 years of service, I made the decision to return home to my family. I recognized the dysfunction in Congress. I found the democracy I fought so hard to defend was broken. I saw politicians claiming to support our veterans, but always coming up short when we needed them most. Our campaign will fight to defend American democracy from extremists in Congress and kick Lauren Boebert out of Washington for good. The job of a congressman should be about work, not words. My fight for the future of America is ongoing. Join me in this fight. I'm Ike McCorkle.
Wednesday, the 28th of Feb, just one day left of the month. I need to ask you a very honest, straight question. Lauren Boebert. Now, those two words alone bring off all types of reaction, I know, but let me concentrate on Lauren Boebert, politician. I know it's difficult because there's so many other distractions, like, for example, if you do Lauren Boebert mum, or Lauren Boebert wife, or Lauren Boebert business person, or Lauren Boebert friend of Ted Cruz, all types of results come up if you put the name into Google. I mean, her son alone gives you enough to keep going on in terms of salacious gossip. But Lauren Boebert, representative. Just for one moment, if there wasn't any Lauren Boebert representative, if somebody else was representing whichever particular part of Colorado she's trying to put a hand up and represent today, would you miss Lauren Boebert? It's just a straight question. Would you like her to, as I said about Marjorie Taylor Greene, take a very, very long vacation, like a 365 vacation? Maybe the next 10 years, just go on holiday. If you would like Lauren Boebert to move along, press the like button. That isn't silencing her before somebody says, yeah, can't stop people saying things you might disagree with. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just asking you, press the like button, smash the like button, I think that's what they say, if you would like Lauren Boebert to just move along. And if you're thinking, but her contribution to political life is very significant, you think? We've just got a few choice moments. Tell me from watching this what she has achieved politically. That's all.
Some breaking news as we learn Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert's son was arrested today and is currently in custody in Garfield County. 18-year-old Tyler Boebert is facing a number of charges, including criminal possession of a financial device, first-degree criminal trespass, criminal possession of ID documents, ID theft, and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. We're working to find out more about the circumstances of these charges, and we have reached out to Boebert's office, but we have not heard back.
It's currently almost 2 a.m. here on the House floor. Most Americans are asleep. in China. They're finishing up with lunch, and after the videos we've seen this week, it's possible that Hunter Biden's on to his second fix for the night. But sadly, we're here on the floor.
There any part of that that challenged any of your beliefs before you did that sit down with them and just realizing, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously I'm a Christian, and, you know, there are standards that we like to uphold, but none of us do it perfectly. You know, one of the biggest things that I look to is him who knows to do right and doesn't, it's sin. And I mean, there's things all throughout the week that I know is right to do. And sometimes, you know, I don't do them. And, you know, so we can nitpick what the Bible says is right and wrong. But I think just having that heart posture of wanting to serve God and do the right thing is so important.
Ladies and gentlemen, and yes, there are only ladies and gentlemen. It is so great to be in a room with you, a room full of people who know there are two genders, one God, and zero terms for Joe Biden.
About Ted Cruz lately in the news. And contrary to popular belief, I have never been an escort for Senator Ted Cruz. But I will tell you tonight, it is the coolest thing I've ever heard about Ted Cruz.
You all are allowing delinquent employees to sit on their sofas at home instead of actually getting to work and doing their jobs. This is absolutely unacceptable.
So our employees are working whether they are in the office or at home, and they are.
Are you monitoring the work that they are doing from home on a regular basis?
Yes, we are.
Every employee, do you have the numbers of the hours that are submitted? Are you counting how many times they're logging into their computers and responding to casework?
So our employees are subject to the same performance management processes and oversight they are whether they're teleworking or working in an office. And we have systems in place that our managers use to schedule, assign, and track workloads. And that includes individual employee workloads in many cases. So real-time understanding of what actions are being processed at any particular given time. Additionally, our employees are required to be accessible to their supervisors, clients, colleagues, and external parties during work hours via a variety of means, including instant messaging, video platforms, and telephone. They are connected to the workplace, whether they are in the office or at the home.
Then why is the backlogs for Social Security applicants increased from 41,000 to 107,000?
Because we've been historically underfunded for a number of years now.
I don't think you're underfunded. You're funded at the Nancy Pelosi levels. At the Democrat levels, we just continued that same funding.
So I would say
at pandemic level spending.
So I would say we'd have an increase of over 8 million beneficiaries over the last 10 years. At the same time, we experienced our lowest work staffing levels at the end of FY22. That's a math problem. I mean, that is a problem. If you have those workloads, increasing, and you don't have the staff to take care of those workloads, you're going to have the backlogs that you're talking about, Representative.
Well, I would love to see.
Before we go any further, I just found intelligent. I don't think like that. It's DUMV.
Whether you live in a blue state or a red state, whether you live in rural or urban areas, and we're delivering on that promise. But folks, we haven't gotten a whole lot of help from some members of Congress. On the other side of the aisle, in the United States Congress. The historic investments we're celebrating today is in Congressman Boebert's district. She's one of the leaders of this extreme mega movement. She, along with every single Republican colleague, voted against the law that made these investments in jobs possible. And that's not hyperbole, that's a fact. And then she voted to repeal key parts of this law. And she called this law a massive failure. You all know you're part of a massive failure? Tell that to the 850 Colorados that get new jobs in Pueblo and CS Wind thanks to this law. Tell that to the local economy that's going to benefit from these investments. Tell that to anyone who wants to listen. Thanks to Congressman I think what she calls a massive failure. A solar power company that's investing $400 million here in Colorado, creating for 56,000 homes, create 250 good-paying jobs.
All I gotta say is I can't go out to lunch in Florida in my free time, not doing anything, just eating outside, and it's wall-to-wall Fox News coverage. And then you have a member of Congress engaging in sexually lewd acts in a public theater, and they got nothing to say. I danced to Phoenix once in college, and it was like all over the place. But putting on a whole show of their own at Beetlejuice, and there's nothing. I'm just saying, be consistent. That's all I'm asking for. Equal treatment. I don't expect it.
To start by recognizing a postal service letter carrier in my district named B. Lee. For 38 years, B has connected constituents to their essential medicines, ballots, notes from loved ones. With so many hospitals and medical offices on her route, she is proud that her work helps keep our communities healthy and safe. As we discuss ways to improve the federal workforce, I want us all to remember that federal employees are dedicated public servants and valued members of our communities. I thank my constituent B for her years of service to Orange County. Second, I want to take up a partial response to what my colleague, Ms. Boebert, was discussing. VPN, she mentioned an article alleging that 25% of HHS employees did not actually telework. And I just want to flag for everyone here that VPN and using VPN login as a way to measure employee engagement and productivity is notoriously inaccurate and misleading. It does not necessarily reflect an employee's access to their email, the internet. They can be working on Microsoft Word, drafting a document. They can be in Excel, inputting data without being connected to the internet at all, much less to VPN. It also fails to reflect the work of the thousands of doctors, researchers, scientists, and other HHS employees who spend much of their time working in the field, not logged onto a computer. I now like to turn to an area that I've worked on before, which is...
Would my colleague just real quick yield?
Real quick.
Yeah. I'm not even sure if VPN is required,
Correct.
by the way. Thank you.
Correct. I want to turn to an issue I've worked on before, which is wildland firefighter classification. We know that wildfire in California get worse and worse each year. We don't even talk about a season anymore. It's an all year round risk. And we owe our wildland firefighters debts of gratitude for what they do. Director, would you agree that achieving equity across the wildland firefighter workforce is an important goal?
Absolutely, Congresswoman.
So we should expect that wildland firefighters who do the same work to have the same job descriptions, pay, benefits, etc. Would you agree?
Yes, I would.
Okay, so as you know, the bipartisan infrastructure law directed coordination between OPM and the Departments of Interior and Agriculture on developing a distinct job series for federal wildland firefighters. And the goal here is to accurately describe their duties and what they should be paid for the hard work that they do. Last June, OPM issued guidance for developing this job series, which includes employees in the Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management, Fish and Wildlife, Bureau of Indian Affairs, and National Park Service, 5 agencies. Is OPM facilitating interagency coordination on this classification process to make sure that it's completed properly and fairly?
Thank you, Congresswoman. We helped with the, like you mentioned, the job series, and now we're working through the classification, the occupation series, and now working through the classification aspect of it.
And you feel that OPM is would you characterize your role here as hands-on in helping the agencies come to consistent descriptions?
Absolutely. We do see that as our role to ensure continuity. We also want to make sure that we see as our role to ensure there's a career path and trajectory for firefighters.
Wonderful, because we don't want the U.S. Forest Service to end up short of people because BLM has a different classification. We want all of these agencies to have the ability to have trained and skilled wildland firefighters to keep us all safe. Can you talk a little bit about whether you have worked with federal wildland firefighters directly to get their input to make sure that what the agencies are doing, what those in Washington or field offices might be doing, matches what's happening on the ground, the challenges that our firefighters are facing?
Absolutely, Congresswoman. We have what I would hope is a good relationship with the associations and unions that support the firefighters. I had the opportunity to meet them in person and hear firsthand about just some really challenging stories about how they're managing just their livelihood with the current pay. And so we want to ensure, as a part of our role, not only this occupation, but to ensure that the pay is a permanent feature that's now through the BIL, but will expire soon.
Wonderful. I just want to encourage OPM to continue taking a leadership role so that we don't have agencies acting kind of independently and leave the wildland firefighters with the short end of the stick here. I want to use my remaining time. Has OPM, we hear so much about the costs of federal employees, the costs of their wages, the costs of their benefits. Has OPM formally studied the costs of recruiting and training for when employees leave? Can we weigh the cost of paying an existing trained, qualified, excellent employee, which we hear a lot about? What does it cost us when that person leaves to get a new person and to train them to the same level?
Absolutely. There are significant costs when it comes to recruitment and also retention, the knowledge that you've lost and getting that person up to speed, Congresswoman. I do know that there have been a documentation at individual agencies. I'd have to check to see if our agency has done something across government.
I would really encourage that as a way of making sure we have all of the data so that we can come to the right conclusions as we think about workforce issues. So I would encourage you to think about how to make that more of an initiative and how to coordinate that data across agencies. I thank Mr. Chairman and yield back.
Lady yields back. Chair recognizes Mr. Burleson from Missouri.